So, no, and with we gonna go straight in since y'all late, but no, it's all good. I'm joking. No, we gonna go in. So, you about to start?
All right.
Okay, let's start.
All right. We here. We Need Answers podcast. We here for another episode as we usually do every Sunday. We got some nice young ladies here to talk about some things today. And with the backstory of this episode, basically my good friend here, Mariam, aka MJ, we met about a year ago to discuss just catching up. We ain't seen each other in a while. We always usually just holler, check in, and we was talking about some life things. And Mariam brought up that she would like to go back to her home country, and I just was so puzzled to why you just would want to leave. Not only because it's just America, but just because we was talking about like trying to get somewhere, and she was like, "I just fuck it, I'm ready to go. I'm just gonna leave." So I was like, why, like not switch locations, none of that. And we talked about that too. You was like, I might get work down here, I might work there, and you was like, I'm just ready to go, plain and simple. So my thing that it's been on my mind since this was like September, I think, October maybe. So it's almost been a year. So it been on my mind, and then I started the podcast after that, and the name of the podcast is We Need Answers. So in order to get the answers, I would say this is one, all of my episodes that I've done, if you haven't checked out, it's been like ways of life. Like we had a stripper to talk about what's the real stripper life about, bartenders, how the shit go in the bartending life, all of that, things like that. If you haven't check it out. But this is one of the one that I've been inquisitive about for myself. Like I think everything is about like I did that. I was inquisitive about that stuff too, but more so I think everybody just has a view of certain things, and it's like, okay, we think this, but what's the real deal? But this one I was like curious because one, I can honestly say I haven't traveled as much. I will, but I haven't been too many places. I've been, the furthest I've been was where I go last time? I went to
Jamaica.
No.
Don't tell me Puerto Rico.
It was Jamaica.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say.
I know my maps. So I went to Jamaica. That was the furthest, but it was on a cruise too, so I didn't really get to see like the whole everything. But and like I also said before, that's one of the benefits that I always tell people about college. Like you get to meet people from different places. You learn about different places, and you just learn about cultures and different things. So I just felt like a lot of people who haven't experienced people or places is like you just get to get this episode and you can learn. Maybe some learn about your history, and you might consider, I might go such and such. So as we can start and go around, introduce yourself and introduce give us a background where you're from, your family from, things like that, how long you've been here. Blah.
Karima.
Oh, me?
She's the last one.
It would have made sense for
Hi everyone, my name is Mariam Jawara. I was born in the Gambia, West Africa. Whoop whoop. I was born there. I left when I was 2. We migrated to the States. My mom, my dad. I have 2 younger siblings who were born here in America. When we first came, we started off in Silver Spring. So I grew up in the rough part.
the churches of Silver Spring.
No, it was a really rough life.
I got you.
This is Silver Spring before what it is now.
Okay. The old Silver Spring.
The old Silver Spring,
Got you.
And then we eventually moved to Gaithersburg, Maryland, in Montgomery County, and that's where I presently live. So we've been there for, I want to say, 20 years. So yeah, Maryland. Okay, that's it. I won't get into that. I got too excited, guys.
My name is Delphine. I'm originally from Liberia. I came here in 1994. My country had a civil war in the 90s, so I did pass through different countries. I went to Nigeria first, lived there for a couple of years, and then I migrated to America. My parents were here with my other siblings and I came with my aunt and like 3 of my other siblings. And I started in DC and then migrated over to Maryland. So, and that's where I am now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm Khadijah Corolla, originally from Sierra Leone.
Okay.
I came here in '95.
Okay.
When I left there, I went to live in Gambia for like maybe 2 years or so. I have a Gambian passport.
Probably expired.
But so yeah, lived there for a little bit and came here. So yeah, I've been here since '95. Living in Greenbelt, Maryland. Since I came, we're still in Greenbelt because my mom loves Greenbelt to leave. So we're still in Greenbelt. Yeah, so that's I have two siblings. One, she's older. She was also born in Sierra Leone. We came together, and I have a younger sibling that was born here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey everyone. You had to take the back. So my name is Karima Avalon, and I am Nigerian.
Okay.
My family moved here in '97, and we moved to Maryland. Actually, we were here for maybe a couple of months, then we moved to Kansas.
Oh,
yeah,
God.
Kansas.
That's different.
I know. Well, my parents, both of my parents came here without a college education, so it was really like for work, for blue collar work, and there were a lot of like meat factories and things like that in the Midwest. So that's where we lived at. We lived in Dodge City, and then we lived in Wichita. And we came back to Maryland eventually, and we've been here ever since.
Okay.
I would say I probably spent like a lot of my childhood in Baltimore and PG County.
Okay.
So,
shout out to you.
But yeah. So I would say I have a bit of everything.
Okay.
And yeah, now I live in Silver Spring.
Okay. So you were familiar when you came in.
Oh, this area, of course.
Okay.
Of course.
I feel like this is a very popular street. I feel like
Yeah,
everyone
it is.
everybody
It
looks
goes
like this right now.
It goes from downtown all the way up to like the county. So yeah. Question before we get into all my questions, how was it? How long were you in Kansas?
Oh, just like 2-3 years.
Oh, hell no.
Oh wow. It was interesting. I didn't experience.
Do you
Honestly,
remember?
I didn't experience. Yeah, I do. I
Okay.
do remember. I didn't really experience anything like that would have traumatized me. Nothing.
Okay.
No racism or anything. That I noticed. Perhaps I was naive, but I didn't experience anything like that. And like my family was one of the few black families, not just black, like African as well.
Yeah,
So
way.
in that whole area, in
What?
that small Dodge City
Wow.
area, it was a very
Dodge
small
City.
town.
I like the name.
Very
Yeah,
small
that is
town.
kind of cool.
Dodge City, that's tight. Okay, so my first question for y'all is, how is it migrating from another country to a different country? Like how was that experience?
From back home to here.
Yeah.
It's hard.
Yeah, no, it's
hard.
really hard. Personally, I was too young. Like I said, I moved here in 1991. I was only 2 years old. So I was too young to kind of realize how hard it was and how much my parents struggled. But they remind us every day because they're like, so sometimes like when I sit and listen to their stories, like I know when we first moved here, they like rented a 2-bedroom with a complete stranger. She was actually Ghanaian.
Okay.
And she was like the worst roommate ever. Like the worst. Like she didn't want my mom cooking in the house because our food smelled. And imagine this is another African person telling you this.
For real?
I'm so serious. It was like one bathroom situation, and she was like monitoring how long I guess we showered. And it was my mom, my dad, and me in a room. My dad was working like endless jobs. Like he'll come home from one just to like suit up and go right back out.
Okay.
So it was hard. They were making minimum wage. They came here without papers. I think a lot of people in the Gambian community, I hope ICE is not listening, we're sharing. They were like sharing. I think they were sharing a social security number. I don't know.
Did you say your last name on this podcast?
Yes, you did. You're going to crop that out. You're good.
So, no, it was not an easy transition. And, it's like a lot of us are just kind of settling. Like,
Okay.
imagine, like, 10 years, 20 years later, you're just kind of getting established.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was hard migrating from a different country here. I mean, my parents were already here before they came on political asylum.
Mhm.
So I think with that, I think they were here in the hopes of going back.
Mhm.
I didn't think it was going to be this long.
Okay.
But then, as you see, it progressed, the war progressed, and then they couldn't go back. But me coming over, at first, I think sometimes in Africa, America, we have this perception of America like everything is peaches and cream.
Okay.
And then you're excited to come because of what the stories they've told
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
And then when you finally come over,
Completely different.
it's completely different. And then you go to school as a kid, and like the people you see that look like you that you're used to seeing like back home don't accept you the way you think they will. They make fun of you. I know I think one of the things I remember was somebody was like, did your mom put you in the oven? Why are you so dark? So it was like those type of things.
Right.
You're speaking English, but then they're like, what are you speaking? Oh, did you just learn how to wear shoes?
Right.
Or do you have AIDS? So those are the things that you have to deal with in the sense of, oh, well, but we're like the same.
Yeah.
So why
am
are
I being
you
treated so
having
differently?
this type of stereotype towards me?
Okay.
So I think that transition is what was hard in a sense for me being at the age I was at, which I can see how my peers treated me in that sense.
Okay.
And as for my parents, I know they did struggle because in the sense of like, you have to understand with African parents, I think with all of our parents, we're already established. They're already established back home, but then now they have to start all over. So then it's like you already made your name for yourself, but then now you're starting in America and nobody knows you. Nobody cared what you were back then.
And as an adult,
Your degree, your education doesn't even matter. You're an adult with like multiple kids. Now you have to start over.
Okay.
So I think that struggle for them, is a struggle for them.
Right.
And I think for us as kids, we deal with bullying and teasing and stuff like that. But I think that transition is a little bit better for us in the sense that we're not adults.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
We don't have to start over.
Right.
So.
Right.
Just to quickly, sorry, Khadijah, quickly piggyback off of what she said. I know when my parents came, I felt like it was a whole wave of Gambians that came at the same time. So it's like they're all clueless. It's like the blind is literally leaving the blind, which makes it even harder because it's just like you don't have someone that you can turn to and someone that you trust to be like, okay, how do I go about getting my green card? How do I go about getting a better paying job? So yeah, that was also part of the things that made it tough.
Yeah, so for my parents, my mom, when she came, she was here like her parents were here before you came. So that's the same thing for me and my sister. My mom and my dad, they were here already, and we were still back home. So my mom tells the story all the time.
They don't let y'all forget.
No, she worked at McDonald's. Every penny she was saving it. Like, I need to get my kids to come. I need to find a way for them to come. So literally came here off of just her McDonald's money that she worked. Me and my sister.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was a struggle for her, obviously. For me, I didn't really struggle that much. I didn't get bullied. I've never been called, African booty scratcher. I
think maybe it's green belt.
I don't know, maybe because. But I mean, like, you probably have this is the story. Like, so when I came, I started 3rd grade.
Okay.
So I walked into class and. The teacher's trying to talk to me. I was speaking 2 different languages at the time, Creole and Wolof, because I was living in Gambia. So I'm just like, she's talking English, and I'm just like, what is she saying? So there was another thing. Like, it's just people were so clueless back then. The lady, because she knew I was African, she pulled another African girl and asked her if she can communicate with me.
Oh my God.
She speaks a totally different
language.
language.
Oh my God.
She's from Ghana. She speaks a totally different language. So she couldn't communicate with me. She ended up being my first friend, and we're still friends to this day. But yeah, so I was just like, what? No. So that was difficult. But yeah, and that area, it was a lot of African people.
Okay.
So I just naturally became friends with all the most Africans. So I just stuck with them. I didn't struggle. Nobody called me.
That's why your transition was
Green belt.
PG.
PG job.
PG. That's what she agreed. much what
Yeah.
Spring Hill Lake.
Yeah.
Spring Hill Lake was full of a lot of Africans.
Yeah, that's why your transition was smooth.
Yeah.
I ain't gonna get you question though. So is it like how did? Because I know in comparison, because I was working in Montgomery County in Silver Spring, but I know in that Wheaton area it's a lot of like Latinos. So how does everybody tend to go to a certain?
They probably have family and just say, like, oh,
Okay.
we live here,
And
like
when
this
they
place is
communicate.
nice, and then
Okay.
you just end up moving there.
And that's Greenbelt just turned it kind of into like a
Yeah,
dome.
it's a
And you make your little community.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it's also like the cost of living as well.
cost of
Like
living, absolutely.
if I'm coming in and I don't have much,
Mhm.
I would gravitate towards a place that's like budget friendly,
Affordable.
you know,
Yeah,
affordable.
okay.
And like you said, that's how a community is kind of just formed.
Right. Okay.
Okay, well, for my family, it was a little different because my parents had 7 children, and we all came here at the same time.
Oh my God.
So, yeah, child. It's a whole struggle. It's a whole struggle.
Oh my God.
When we moved to Kansas, my
I'm sorry.
When we moved to Kansas, Dodge City specifically, like all the people who were of age were working to support the household. Yeah.
Oh,
So it wasn't
okay.
just my parents.
Yeah,
Well, my mom was not working initially because my brother was still really young. And then my sister, we found out that she was having a baby. And she couldn't work. So the 2 other older ones were working, and my sister that comes after the one that was expecting, she's actually not. She was not of age, but she was using my mom's Social Security card.
We have to drop her last name.
So this Social Security thing is the rules sometimes.
It's the norm.
You gotta make your way out of nowhere.
Yeah, you gotta do what you gotta do.
So that's how we had a 3-bedroom apartment in Dodge City, which because cost of living was much cheaper in Dodge City. But when we went to Wichita, all 9 of us, we lived in a 1-bedroom apartment.
No way.
Yes, my father was working. My father
God.
was working in McDonald's, and my mom, she started, working. I think she was on assistant living, stuff like that. And even at that, we were barely getting by. What the kind of toys that we had to play with were the kind of toys that my dad would bring from work, the little toys,
Happy Meal.
and Bugs Life, all of that. No, it was like because we didn't really have the resources. And the food that we would eat would be the food that he brought back because after night they would have to trash the food, but he had all these kids to feed. And we didn't really have much, and we would still try to replicate our traditional foods. For example, we want to make stew, right? So you know what we use for stew? Green bell peppers with tomato paste and chicken nuggets. Will be our stew.
That's disrespectful. You gotta do what you gotta do.
That's a struggle. You gotta explain we get actual chicken and beef and it's we use the chicken to make our stew.
Right.
Wow.
And it was really hard. All of us
You
lived
have
in
to
that
remake
1
that,
bedroom.
Grima.
Don't use McDonald's though.
Chick-fil-A.
I know. We gotta upgrade.
Times have changed now. Okay.
And when we eat cereal, milk was expensive when we used coffee made for milk.
Cereal.
But we made it work.
Yeah.
Eventually, we made our way back to Maryland, and just slowly but surely, like I said, both of my parents did not have a college education, but my mom, she comes from a pretty prominent family, so she was working for her father's business prior to coming down here.
Oh, nice.
And like you said earlier, nobody cares about where you came from. Nothing. They had to start from scratch. My mom went back to school and became a nurse. And my dad was a taxi driver. And they kind of just made their way little by little. So over the past 20-something years, they had 18 grandchildren since. From
big
just having
family.
a big family.
Yeah.
Just from having from 7 kids, now they have 18 kids and counting. So the whole family
And
was
counting. Are you
expanded.
pregnant?
Stop it!
Cut that one out.
The whole pregnancy announcement on the radio.
Don't Pay him, James. Go ahead. You go.
19 next year. Okay, but no, the family has grown, and we have like nurses in my family, my siblings, doctor, analysts. It's just amazing to see where we came from.
Yeah,
now,
yeah.
7 kids is not a joke.
Where do you fall in the list of kids? You the youngest?
I'm the youngest girl. I'm number 6.
Okay.
Of 9, you said? Of 7. But no, 9 total, like my family, my nuclear family total, because my parents too.
Okay.
Okay.
So, it just, it was a really tough road, but we really made it this far. So I'm very happy because, it just says that you can kind of achieve the American dream. It may take some time.
Yeah.
But we eventually did it, and I'm just, I'm really happy, and I anticipate what's to come.
Okay. So my next question, from what I get from all of y'all, is that working is like number 1. Like it's very important.
It's very important.
So does that discipline transfer instantly to y'all? Is it like
do we have a choice?
You don't have a choice.
Like, you don't have a choice. I mean, because first of all, your parents are not going to allow you to slack because they understand the struggles they had to deal with for you to be able to be who you are. Like, imagine 7 kids, taking care of 7 kids on that income, or 3 kids or whatever. So every day you hear about it growing up in the sense of, do you know what I had to do for you to get here? And I think that's why also too with us Africans in general, education is such a big thing. As you can see, like her parents came here without college education, but then her mom went back to school just to instill that in her kids. So I think in the sense of, because our parents struggled so much for us to have what they didn't in a sense when they came here, they expect us to be better than they were.
Yeah, absolutely. They do. And I know for me personally, so my parents, even when they moved here, my mom nor my dad went back to school. So when I graduated high school, it was like, oh, you're going to school. We're gonna put the money together and put you in school. Like, I didn't even have a choice, But like she said, they just wanted us to have better, do better, and just kind of be better, because we're not migrating from anywhere. Sweetie, you are here. So it's like, what is your excuse? This is the land of opportunity, right? So take advantage of that. But yeah, education is definitely their number 1 priority. Because with that, to them, it's like, you can get a better job. You can get, And that's something my parents always say, somebody cannot take that away from you. Yeah, it's true.
You can lose everything else, but
your education,
you still can bounce back with that.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. And my mom went back to school. She was a grown woman with 7 kids.
Exactly.
So imagine going to school and then like still working at the same time. And still trying to raise these kids. So it was just really just so much. I'm not traumatized or anything. I feel like everything that's happened, since my childhood, it kind of made me who I am today.
For sure.
Who I am today. And I feel like, otherwise I may have been, just a little bit more nonchalant. Like some people that their parents didn't have to struggle. They're like, well, I'm cool. They, sometimes, not all.
It builds character.
It builds character, and I feel like it's done that with all of us.
And it also gives you that drive. Like,
absolutely.
It gives you that drive.
And then when you know that your parents did so much to bring you here, the
You
last thing you want to do is disappoint. The last thing. So you try to make sure.
And you wouldn't be just disappointing them. You're disappointing people back home.
Everybody.
Yeah. So because back home is literally not just your parents raising you.
The whole
village.
The
whole village.
You're not gonna be a disgrace. You're literally a disgrace to your whole generation.
So it's like everybody know each other in the village.
In the little community that you grew up in, everyone raised you.
So it's like rooting for you.
So the next door neighbor sees you doing something bad, she can
slap you.
Okay.
It takes a village to raise a child.
It really does.
My next question was, so now that I know the parents had these ideas about education because that was how it was looked at coming up, but now I know we all probably know that college is not as important as it was in the past.
Mm-hmm.
So how do they feel about if you like somebody? It ain't happening.
Yeah, no. They
Oh.
still want.
They're older, so
Okay.
they're still
They
stuck in
still-
their ways.
Okay.
Exactly.
So they still feel like education is
Key.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, unless they actually see you succeed
Right.
in something other than
Right.
getting an education.
Then they'll believe it.
Then they'll be
Then
like,
they-
oh,
Let me
Okay.
tell you,
that's what they want to
you
say.
have to have
Oh,
made
that's
it.
my
Okay.
child.
Yeah,
yeah.
That's my
Exactly.
child.
I was gonna say a good example is Yvonne Orji.
Yeah.
Her Netflix
She had, you guys seen the
I
HBO
did.
watch
I
it?
never heard
Yeah,
of
so
it.
basically she did talk about how her parents, she graduated from college. She went to Howard,
Masters, right?
and she was getting her MPH, and her parents still want her to pursue a different field. But when she said she was getting into entertainment, they're a bit apprehensive. But when they saw that she made it, they were
Okay.
very supportive.
Like,
She's
she's
like,
like,
"That's my child." Yeah, that's my child.
Yeah. Not
Yes,
it's
Yvonne
the best
Howard.
friend.
I never watched it, but
Oh,
I'm
my
gonna check it
goodness.
out.
Yeah.
Check it out.
See
Check it out.
before they
Yeah.
Yeah, like you really have to have a HBO special. No, it's true. So it's
Okay.
like you can want to be the greatest rapper alive,
Yeah.
but you're
Yeah,
getting
you
your
better-
ass
yeah,
kicked.
Okay.
They'll
Yeah.
be looking at you like rapping to do what?
But I think, like
Yeah.
we said, the education portion is like no one can take that away from you.
Yeah.
So it's like you can have these dreams, but make sure you like instill that knowledge and get that
Yeah.
degree. Because it's like, look, I didn't come all the way to America for you to be
Okay.
rapping.
So that's like
Are telling me you want to be an artist. Artists do
Yes.
what?
Yeah.
Oh my
What
God.
art are you doing?
and then let's be realistic. Like, for the most part, it's like, yes, they want better for their child. Yes,
Yeah.
their education.
Yeah.
But there's that small percentage that's like, I just want to
Both.
let the rest of the people know
Flex.
that's my child.
Okay.
Right,
Right,
you
you
know,
know,
you know.
my
Okay.
lawyer,
Yeah, my
Okay.
doctor.
like my engineer.
Okay. So it's like
You know
a
he's
flex
sweet
on
daddy.
everybody.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
Africans are very competitive.
Competitive,
They
yeah.
are very
I can see
competitive.
that. I witnessed that out for sure. I witnessed that a
I
lot.
want to say that this is something I've noticed amongst immigrants in general. A lot, well, not all, but majority of immigrants. You see that amongst Asian communities.
Yes.
Yeah,
a
that's
lot
true.
of you
Yeah.
see that.
For sure.
Just people
Outside
that,
of the U.S.
even
Yeah.
outside.
Caribbean
Okay.
people as
Yeah.
well. They instill these
Oh, I
things
didn't
in
know
their
that.
children,
Mhm.
and because they want better. And so when you see Americans here, Americans are a little more laid back.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, whatever.
Yeah.
The government will take care of them.
Right.
Can we
No, go ahead. We need to hear this. We need to hear this. No, go ahead.
Okay, let me go ahead.
She had to prepare herself.
So what I was saying was that Americans tend to be a little bit more on the lax side. Just it's like a common thing with even millennials. You know how they say millennials are so entitled.
Yeah.
It's something
We
that
are, though.
we are.
Yeah.
And it's like I'm not trying to offend anybody, but
No,
this is
fuck
something
it.
that
Offend
okay.
them. You can curse on here too. You can get raw that cut. Let them have it. We need answers. Just cuss. Just say a cuss word. Shit. No, go ahead.
No,
I'm messing with you.
listen, what I was saying was that for the most part, Americans tend to be a little bit more on the lax side from what
Yeah.
I've noticed. And I'm not saying all
Absolutely.
Americans, not all Americans, some Americans
Yeah.
a little bit more.
We spoiled.
Yes, it's like what?
Yeah.
No, it was
You
kind
know.
of shocking that people congratulate people when they graduate from high school, right?
Okay.
It's like,
Or they're like, oh my
It's
god,
like a bigger
he's
conflict.
like, he's graduating high school. I'm like,
That's
High
nothing.
school.
That's nothing for real. Okay.
you know what I
Okay.
mean? Like, isn't that what you're supposed to do?
Yeah,
anyway?
Yeah.
So that's the thing. Like, I can understand you congratulating somebody, like, if they graduate from college
Yeah.
or
Okay.
go on. But high school, huh?
That's
They
it's
even
like
have one for kindergarten and middle school.
Yeah.
Hey, my son has graduated middle school. Let's do a graduation party.
Right,
You know, like,
Yeah, because I'm like, education is free,
yeah.
right? No, but think about it. Like, education here is free from elementary.
Uh-huh.
all the
Yeah,
way
it's
up.
a-
Absolutely no reason why you want to
So,
go to
like,
get a free
there's
education.
Yeah, don't tell me you're the first person in your family
Yeah.
to graduate from high school. Like,
I got you.
I mean, education is free here.
Yeah.
Now, I can understand if you're you're from a different country where you have to pay.
Mm-hmm.
So I can understand that. Then that's an accomplishment. But
or if they graduated with like accolades,
yeah,
and they're like, yes, my child just graduated with honors, and they're going on to the next.
Yeah.
Well, y'all culture is like, what you mean? Like, this is
what
the
is
way
this?
it goes.
Yeah, what is
Right,
this?
okay.
This is not what you're supposed to do.
But that's, I mean, to be honest,
Does she have two heads? That Nigerian's
but no,
not-
that's how it should be because it creates a standard, like of greatness.
Yeah.
Like when you settle for like, okay, I got B's instead of C's and D's, like
Oh no.
that's when it's like,
we
no,
weren't
it
doing
should
the
be.
B's now.
I was gonna say they don't even want to see a B.
Yeah.
Because it's like
straight A's.
Yeah. How come your friends
Your mates, they will call. They
They
call
have two
Your mates are coming home
Your
with
mates
A's
are
and
coming
you're
home.
coming here
And
showing
then it's
me a
like,
B.
who are these mates?
please.
I will say, okay, it's not just the Americans. I feel like Gambians, and I've experienced this, they tend to be a lot more lax as well, right? Like, they're competitive, but not as competitive as Nigerians and, like, Ghanaians, Asians. I feel like you sometimes want it more than your parents, but not that they don't want it for you. It's just their level of thinking is not where yours is.
Okay.
So it's like for them, it's just kind of like good enough is okay with them.
Okay.
They don't actually push you. Like I didn't grow up being told like, why do you have a B? Like, you need to get straight A's. They were good if I came home with a few B's.
Okay.
And if I can justify the C, that was okay.
With your wordplay, I'm sure you could.
Yeah. But so yeah, we're not as, I guess, competitive. And Gambia is super, super small. So we can't even compare ourselves to other countries.
Okay.
Like our population is 2 million. So it's like, who are you competing against? Your neighbor? Like literally it's like, so we have that village, I guess, community or mentality because it's like, it's just us at the end of the day.
Okay.
And we don't have too many, I guess, success stories, and I think it is a result of not being pushed.
Okay.
Because it's like they were okay with just going to school.
Okay.
And that's the honest truth about our people. So
I
that's not gonna be
that's
me and
the
my
same
kids.
for-
But
We're not. I don't think Southern people are as
Alright.
strict as
Yeah.
Nigerian people.
It's not.
Girl, your sister has a doctorate degree.
My sister?
Yes.
Which sister?
Your sister, she's
Well,
She's in pharmacy
she's in
school.
pharmacy
Because,
school.
yeah, she's
I
like
think it's a mixture, isn't it?
what? Like no, I mean. No, I don't think they're as strict as Nigerian people.
no, but that's what we're saying. I think it's us
It's
who's
us.
like trying to
Like,
instill that
Still
strictness.
but for the most part, my
Our
mom
parents?
didn't say, "Oh,
No.
you have to do
Yeah,
go
same.
to school
No.
to
My
be a
parents-
doctor. You have to."
Yeah, my parents.
She didn't do
never-
that. She was
no.
really chill with like, as long as I go and get a degree.
Yeah, exactly.
She didn't care what the
Yeah.
degree was.
Just
Yeah,
had to have
yeah,
it.
just have to have
Okay.
a
I'm gonna
degree.
speak from the point of view of a Nigerian.
Nigerians? Oh, that's
Nigerians?
Boy,
Brace yourself, child.
No.
Nigerians are the most popular.
Well, they're the most populous country. They're the most.
Yeah.
They're the really
They're
big country in West
yeah, and
Africa.
they have a high population in
Yeah.
other parts of the world. They're
Mhm.
probably the highest numbers in diaspora.
Okay.
So that's why you see
And
Nigerians
then,
left
like
and
she
right.
said,
Yeah.
you hear a lot of success stories
From
from
Nigerians.
Nigerians because they
Okay.
push
Okay.
their kids
Okay.
That's what I'm
so
saying. Like,
much.
the
Like
Afrobeats
they
now
have
is-
this term, Niger, no, they carry
Carry
No, they
last.
carry last.
They'll never be last.
Okay.
They'll never be last. They always come on top. They'll never
Okay.
be last in anything. And because
Okay.
of that, like you always hear about
Everything
Nigerians
Nigerian.
doing this, doing that. Like
That's tough. I like that though.
I beg,
Yeah.
please.
I like-
Well,
I ain't on no side. I ain't on no side.
Sorry, not to cut you off, but I think with Liberians we have a mixture, right?
Okay.
So we have the ones who are like, you gotta like be on it. Because
Okay.
I couldn't come home with a B. Like I would get beat. Okay. So, and I know people
I know.
within my community who couldn't come with a B.
Right.
But then you also have others who, they're lackadaisy and stuff like that. But I also think is in a sense of where your parents were with
Mhm.
Liberians.
Okay.
And I'm only
Probably.
speaking
Yeah.
for Liberians. I think is where your parents were when they were back in Africa, right?
Okay.
Their level they were on.
Okay.
So if I was at this level, my kids need to be
Higher.
at that level.
Mhm.
Or
Or
higher.
higher.
Because I need to tell my friends,
Yeah.
my kid is
Okay.
And
Okay.
back to that thing again.
So
about-
in all honesty, the number one goal is to flex on.
Yes, Yes, that is the number one.
No.
That is it.
Okay, so as a Nigerian, right? So back to what Dolphy was saying earlier. My parents did not have college degrees coming from Africa to begin with, but they were doing well enough to support 7 kids, and we were pretty comfortable. And when we got here, you know, I wouldn't say my parents were never tiger parents, because I know tiger parents, you know, you push their child to, there's no room for failure. My parents were really, they put more emphasis on religion. Yes, and that's another thing that I feel like, that's a whole nother discussion. How religion.
What religion?
Islam.
Okay.
Yes. Okay. So my parents were very religious, so they put an emphasis, I feel like, more on religion more so than education. But they did, it's not like they're like, but they're like, no, you need, because if you have religion, everything else in life will fall into place. And that's how they were. And I even went back to Nigeria as a teenager to go back to school. And so did my younger brother. And their priority was not, they wanted us to, you need to go to college, you need to be successful, but they didn't push us in that type of typical way that you see from Nigerians. But I guess even as a standard, they did push education. They were like, okay, you need to do well. But it was never like, okay, but you make sure you're a Muslim and you're a good Muslim, because that's the only way you're going to make it to heaven, and you're going to be good to your family and your community, So that's how I experienced it. But nonetheless, because we knew how much we struggled in this country, I remember those days.
Exactly.
We all wanted better for ourselves, and we knew what we needed to do.
Yep.
And we had that Nigerian mentality as well. We lived in Nigeria at a point.
Right.
We knew what we wanted to accomplish, and we needed to just do it. So all of us went that academic route. We all wanted to do better and be better than our parents. And thankfully it paid off. We've been here for over 20 years. And now we're here. So
That's what's up. That's what's up. My next question, as going off, I got this going off with y'all responses. So, being as though religion is pushed and education is pushed, and now it's a new way. Because we talk about this in a lot of episodes, like how parents will push you into religion stuff, and it'll kind of tear you away from it because of the pressure. Yeah, and things like that. So going forward, like, if none of y'all have kids, or do y'all have kids?
I have a daughter.
Okay, so even with your daughter and everybody else who doesn't have kids, like, now that you're here and you've grown up in America, and you know how things are with the home country and like how you are raised, and like I said about education, like, college is not really a necessity to be successful now. Do y'all feel like raising kids now would be different, or is it like, no, we still gonna keep this path going the way how y'all were raised, with like the strictness and the dedication and things like that? Is it more laid back, or is it like, no, we got?
I think you can be laid back.
No, you can't be laid back.
Okay.
I think you can't be laid back because your kids are growing up here.
Okay.
And they have access to. Like they
Yeah.
have access to things that you probably didn't have access to. And no offense, but America has that mentality, like, everybody gets a trophy.
Yes.
And life is not everybody gets a trophy.
No, hell no.
If you come in second place, oh, you came in second place. You're not getting, or you came last, you're last.
Right.
So it's a little bit of both, in the sense of, I don't want to put too much pressure, but I'm not about to take my foot off your neck. You know what I'm saying? So I'm still going to instill the same values my parents instilled in me, but I still want to nurture your other talents. Right? I still want you to go to school. Like, don't get it twisted. I can nurture your other talent, but I still want you to go to school. And I still want you to have a little bit of both worlds, because I don't want you to think that everything is easy, or you could just get an iPad, or you could just get a phone, or you could be on TikTok all day. Because that's not life, and I want you to feel like, adversity exists. Because if you don't experience anything, then you're gonna go outside and you're gonna get hit with the first situation, and then you're gonna be running back.
And not know what to do.
So
that's a fact. That's a fact.
It's I feel like it's going to be a mixture of both. I'm going to be like tough, but I'm also, one thing that is like really difficult for African parents, they're like, when you have a passion for something, if it's not like a doctor and things like that, they're not really supportive.
Okay.
So I feel like I would want to support my child when I'm raising my child. Like, okay, this is what you want to do. Okay, fine.
I got you back.
I'm gonna support you.
Gotcha.
But I also still want you to get an education because in case this doesn't work,
you got something to fall
you have
back
something
on.
to fall back on.
Yeah,
You know,
true,
like.
True.
But that support, like, because we're almost like raised in like fear. We can't stand up to our parents. We can't be like, no, this is not what I want to do. I don't want to be a doctor. I want to do this instead. We can't do that.
Right.
And even with religion too.
Yeah.
Even if we choose, like, me too, my family, Islam.
Okay.
If I don't even know, as a 32-year-old woman, I don't even know if I can ever, if I choose to like switch to Christianity. It's going to be. I would have to hide if I'm going to church on a Sunday. I would have to maybe.
I love you, parents. I'm Christian.
Yeah, I would leave out the house and like maybe like jeans and a t-shirt to make it seem like I'm just going somewhere chill. When I get in the car, I have to change church clothes. Like that's how we're raised. Like we can't just. This is what you have to do. You have to stick to it. Like I don't want to raise my child in that way.
Okay.
Yeah, very, very true. Because my parents, again, like we're very religious people. My mom specifically, but I have siblings that converted to Christianity.
Okay.
And my family is a little bit more laid back. My parents are much more laid back now. After just seeing that that does not define you as a person. Your beliefs don't define you. Your actions do ultimately. So it's like they've been pretty accepting for the most part. So if I came, to tell my mom, like, hey, I'm marrying someone who is from a different religion and I intend on practicing this religion, she may not be the happiest about it, but she would still accept it.
Okay.
Yeah.
But there's a good amount that wouldn't accept it.
A lot.
Yeah.
A lot. They'll disown
That's
you.
tough.
Yeah.
That's tough.
I think the bottom line is always, no matter what, it doesn't matter where you guys are, to instill the culture of
Okay.
Absolutely.
in your kids.
Oh,
Because
yeah,
I feel like in our generation,
Absolutely.
I feel like in our generation we are adaptable, and we know the struggles that we went through. So like naturally, we are going to be supportive of our kids and etc. However, they should never forget where they came from, in a sense of like, look, just because you're in America does not mean behave like a typical Trump supporter. No, we don't know that. Like it's we still.
That was like far right that was far left right there. We will prop that up too. Go ahead.
Because I think in our dynamics that was the case. So we came to America and boom, my dad's like this typical American, like, hey, how you doing? Whereas my mom is like, nope, we're still eating the food.
Okay.
You're still cooking the food. You're gonna cook like you're gonna clean like we're in Africa, and etc. So it's important to have that balance.
Yeah, absolutely.
It is.
Yeah.
It's important. I was gonna say what you said earlier, right? When people come into this country, things sometimes change. But what I've noticed is that even people back home, like going back to Nigeria, I've met people that have never stepped out of Nigeria. They don't speak any other language apart from English. They're not very well cultured.
Wow.
But just like I know people who were here that were born and raised in the United States, they've never been to Africa. They speak their language fluently. So it really depends on the household. Like,
Household.
Yeah, I was gonna say, remember Cootie, right? Yeah, she's never been to Ghana, and she's
No way.
Very fluent. And I'm just like, it depends on the household.
It does.
And it's just like, so it depends on what you want to do with your household. To be here or there.
Yeah, and you always want to have your culture be like the middle, like the center of
the foundation.
Your kids growing up and stuff, because you don't want them to lose it. Because I know sometimes growing up in a different country, you lose that part, right?
Easily.
And I think that's the foundation of who your parents are, your ancestors were. So you want them to understand and have that like joy and respect for your culture, because somebody else can be coming out at you and saying, "Oh, well, you're African." Excuse me. Yeah. But if they have that foundation and understand the value in them being African, nobody can like make them feel disgraceful about who they are.
Okay. So it's like a necessity to every generation to bring them back home and get or was it like no?
No, it's a necessity.
It's a necessity. Like, they have to see it.
They have to
you
see
can,
it.
You can tell them about it. But
There
my
are
little sister was
stories.
born here, but she went to Seattle for the first time, and the next year she's like, I want to go back.
Okay.
Yeah,
She
that's
like,
how my sister the same thing.
Okay.
She willingly wants to go back. Like she went. December is a very popular time for all of Africa.
West Africa.
Especially West Africa.
It's not cold in December.
No,
It's
like
hot.
80, 90 degrees.
It's never usually cold, and once it's like rainy,
It's
cool.
cold.
Yeah.
We have a rainy season.
Like the evenings are cool.
60 degrees.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
It's in what country?
rainy season.
Yeah,
Forest State.
Oh, maybe
No,
far.
not that. Sometimes it gets
That's
cool.
why
actually,
that's
Actually, Gambia this past December was
pretty
freezing.
cool. Yeah, like
I was
we
out
have
with them.
Yeah,
Okay.
Sierra Leone gets cold. Like,
It gets cold at night.
We stay by the beach. We live by the beach.
Yeah,
so we
I
can
was gonna
feel
say we're
the
surrounded by water, so
breeze
for
and
us
all
it's
that
very
stuff,
cool.
yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, what was I going to say?
Girl,
I can't remember.
Yeah, but the climate is like it's warm all the time.
Okay.
Right,
Yeah.
and of course you only have 2 seasons.
Summertime, rainy
Yeah.
season,
Yeah,
rainy season.
rain season.
So you are gonna be warm all the time. But I think most of us who live here go back in December because of course it's a holiday here.
Yeah.
And then it's cold here, so we have that time to
To-
go back
Okay.
and enjoy
Yeah.
the festivities.
And then everyone, like for Gambia, everyone all over comes back at the same time. So it's like a little reunion at the same
Okay.
time as
Yeah.
well.
That's what's up.
But I do want to like put out there that for us, like the learning, the discovering never ends. Like I'm 31 and I'm still learning about like my history, like my parents' history. So I think that's like the drive that keeps me wanting to go back.
Okay.
Not just for the turn up, but it's because
But
like
I mean,
you know.
turn up.
that's number one. And
Okay.
then
No.
time. Then we go
And
discover.
then, like, if you have time,
If you have
that's
time.
So it's that like curiosity that you really want to tap into and
Okay.
like just kind of see where things literally started. And sometimes it's heartbreaking. Like when my parents show like, okay, this is the house we grew up in, and I'm looking like there's no AC, and they're looking like, you know what? You see, this is why you needed to see stuff like this
Okay.
to kind of like humbly remind you that this is where you're coming from.
Okay.
You can be wherever you are now, but don't forget that this is your humble beginning.
You need
So-
that reminder.
No,
I
you
think that's
definitely
just
need
like with celebrities who, I'm sure is a very few that take kids from like Hollywood back to where their parents grew up and stuff.
Yeah,
'Cause it's
exactly.
like, we don't want you getting twisted. We came from this.
From
Like,
this.
yeah, like it ain't easy. So speaking of turn up, compare the turn ups here. Paint the picture for us. Paint the picture. For us.
Gladly. First of all, here, tables minimum, you're probably what? Popping 2-3 bottles thinking you're doing something. They're bringing out 15 bottles at a time.
Okay.
And they're all getting popped.
Okay.
I don't know who's paying, but they're all getting popped. But no, jokes aside, not really. No, the turn up. First of all, the reason why we love Africa, let's just put it out there. There are no limits.
No,
there are no limits.
laws.
There's no time limits.
No.
There's no.
Yeah,
like,
money.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. No. Honestly, if you have the coins, and by coins, and that's the thing, you don't need 200. Here, you need like money to like ball out. There, nah. Like you can just
Give me an example.
currency wise. I mean, in
Yeah.
terms of
Because the cost of living is cheaper.
Okay.
And keep that in mind. It's like
And
going
then like
from
the
here to
exchange
somewhere.
rates, and when
The
you go
Yeah,
there,
the exchange
you
rates.
go-
It's like you got money.
Yeah.
Okay.
no.
$200.
Not even money, but yeah, $200.
Take it a long way.
Okay.
But also, what was I gonna say? There, you're kind of paying everything up front. So, like, I remember even when I lived in Nigeria, you pay for your rent up front. So the rest of your money is literally yours to just do
Yeah.
whatever.
For the year.
Yeah, you pay. I mean, sorry, yeah, you
Okay.
pay for the year, and that's a lot of places. Some places even want 2 years rent up
Yeah.
front.
How much is rent usually?
No. So for Nigeria, it was $5,000. Like where I was living was $5,000 for the year.
Yeah.
And imagine.
This is expensive.
No, it's expensive.
It's expensive for a
too.
year if you compare it to
For
No,
the
for
year.
yeah, that's like what 2 months here,
That's like
3 months. But
Yeah.
but in their
Over
that's what I'm
there,
saying. In their local currency,
Uh-huh.
it's a lot. Like this place is costing over $1 million something naira.
Mhm.
That is a lot. Like that, you know what I'm
Okay.
saying?
Because the cost of living, people aren't getting paid that much to begin with.
To
Okay.
begin with,
So it's like
exactly.
when you come as a foreigner and you try to like turn up, what?
Mm.
You're bringing your dollar, you bring your pounds, euros,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
it's like, you know, you have that advantage.
Okay.
and you're able to kind of just do what you want.
Okay.
But I will be honest, I think the misconception a lot of people have. So when people, the December travelers, right? They literally saved all year for this moment. So don't get it twisted. Whereas when you are in Africa, whether you're living or like you're there off peak season, you see and meet the people who actually can afford this. Yeah, who actually can afford this lifestyle. Okay. So I always tell people, do not let December fool you, because they literally saved 11 months for this moment. Because it's not that easy to save here, and that's the reality.
It's not.
Yeah. It's not easy to save in Africa either. A lot of people are living hand to mouth, but it's just kind of like you don't have to worry about so many monthly expenses. You're paying your cell phone as you go.
Okay.
So it's like if you have the means, fine, you'll be able to talk as long as you want. If you don't, whereas here, every month you're still paying $100. Yeah, and that's just on one thing. Insurance. This that. What is insurance in Africa? It doesn't even exist. So.
I mean, they're starting to have a new things like they do have insurance. They have I at least for my recent trip to Nigeria, I saw that they have a lot more things. Like they have a lot of investors from overseas, like a lot of Chinese, European investors, and the U.S. as well. They come in and they bring their ideas, and they have been investing. So we are getting some of these things, but not the common man. The common man is not going to go ahead and try to get insurance. So it's like it's just for people who can afford it, that feel like they need it.
It's not a necessity.
It's not a necessity for the most part. You don't need car insurance for the most part in Nigeria. From my experience, you don't. And a lot of people drive cars that aren't even. So I mean, and it's just like we're still developing West Africa, but best believe that by the time that we do get up there, we would be a force to reckon with. And there's a lot of smart people in and out of Africa. From when they go back, and the ones that are there too are very smart, very resourceful. We just don't have the resources just quite yet, but when we do, you guys will definitely see what we're talking about.
But that's why you see the Chinese are going there and capitalizing on what Africa has to offer. You know what I'm saying? And I think for a long time, Americans saw Africa as like,
what?
Right?
Diseases.
And I think exactly. Lions. So I think like now, it could also be like I feel like now being African is a fad. And now you have African artists bringing Africa to the forefront. So now people are still like, oh, really? Y'all have mansions in Africa? You know what I'm saying? So we have richness. So it's just like, I think before we were looked down upon, but we've been telling you guys Africa has these things. But because now is the fad, everybody's looking into it. Like, oh, really? Y'all go to Africa in December and turn up like this? Of course. I mean, people have been doing it for years. Oh, you guys have this? Yes, we do. It might not be as available here, and you might need to have money in order to get certain things, but we still do have it at a certain extent.
I may be wrong, but I also feel like Africans today are realizing the potential and tapping into it. So we can't really blame like the Americans' depiction of us. I think a lot of it is like we are realizing like our strengths. We're because like you said earlier, we always thought America was like the land of the free.
That's
we
what
thought,
the media does.
That's the media. But what I'm saying is we allowed that. Whereas people like Wizkid, Davido, Burna are coming on and they're like, no, we're gonna show you our Africa. Like we're telling our story now. We're not letting the white man tell it.
The white man hasn't put that narrative out there, just like.
And we've allowed it.
We've
allowed it. For other fly on their
for 15 cents a day.
They paint a different picture.
Not just that, the media plays a big role. Bigger role than what we realize. Not just for Africans, but for other demographics as well. Look at how most African Americans are portrayed in the media. They're usually portrayed as maybe thugs or prostitutes or drug dealers and things like that. And from what I know you all know professional African Americans who are living the American dream, who are doing what they need to do, but the media is telling you otherwise. There are white people in this country that have never met a black person, but the only thing they know about black people is what they've seen in the media, what they read in the news, and that's all they know. It's a very unfortunate because, just imagine that they never met an African American, but just imagine what they think of Africans. Like, they never met Africans. It's like, oh, Africa. Good luck, guys. So it's just like, it's the media. So that's why I'm very happy that these artists and corporations are really putting us in that spotlight. They're showing us what the truth is, and people are really starting to understand that. They're like, okay, well, I thought that you guys didn't even have houses, I thought y'all lived in huts, So,
and it's like most of us have never even seen a hut. Like,
I've never seen a hut. But what I was gonna say was, reason why I like the turn up is because you just have this
vibe,
this
right?
positive energy. You go out and then let me tell you, first of all, when you go out, if you're gonna start off with dinner and they say you go to a club, just know whatever you're wearing to dinner is where you when you get dressed for dinner. That's it.
The next day they might see
you're not coming back.
No,
you're not coming back home to change to go to the club because you go from one spot to the next spot to the next spot to the next.
It's just fun the whole
you literally
night.
you will come out at 7 a.m.
right
outside, and you don't feel tired. But it's just,
Okay.
and then another thing is like, here. You're in the club and a guy approach you. And you're like, can I buy you a drink?
Yeah.
There, when they ask you, do you want a drink?
They
They buy you a whole bottle.
Okay.
They
More than a bottle.
They want a bottle.
Yeah.
What do you and your friends want to drink? They seriously buy you a whole bottle.
Okay.
Yeah,
Like,
coming out with
so
two
it's
bottles.
not like the turn up bit is just it's just really different. And the weather is nice and everyone.
And
And there's no fights. You don't see people
Yeah.
fighting in the club.
Nobody.
You're gonna have a good time when you come out, and then the music is just everything.
And
You're
no-
not
everything
never
is
disappointed.
positive.
Everything
Yeah.
is great.
It's
The
all
vibe
black
is just great.
people.
And that's
people.
that's what I was gonna say. There's a different feeling when you're around your kind.
Oh.
Like
Yes.
it's like we're all African. There's no ignorance here. There's no time for that. We're literally all here for a good time.
And I know I'm from Sierra Leone, but I can like other people from different countries. I'm sure can say the same thing. I partied in Nigeria. I partied in Ghana. Like their turn up is just like everyone is just
There.
the same.
Yeah. Nobody cares. Like there's no differences, and that's the problem with America. There's too many differences.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
it's too many different.
Different
Yeah, it's too many.
They're like, oh, you're from Baltimore.
Yeah, there's a Baltimore.
Yeah.
Baltimore City.
Okay.
Nobody want to be doing Baltimore.
I got you.
Right? We're not
Yeah,
gonna.
yeah.
Then it's like the I got that club. And it's just like just like trap music. Like no, we need
Over
to
there,
hear
just everything is
everything.
everything.
They play
Okay.
it. It's just
Okay.
Wait,
everything.
do you know what a kata means? I just want to know.
No.
Oh, okay.
Explain.
Okay, so akata is actually a Nigerian term.
Yeah.
Is it a Nigerian term?
Yeah,
Is
it is.
Nigerian term?
Yeah.
So it is a term that I consider to be derogatory because
You people that make them be.
no, I'm just saying that's how I feel. And I don't really use that term as loosely. If I was using it, it's probably to kind of explain myself because if someone else has used it. But it is really a derogatory term used to kind of look down on African Americans.
Okay.
It's like saying that it's. I had this conversation with my father, and he doesn't. The older Africans, they use the term, and it's like it's not a big deal to them. It's just like, but as we know what it means, it's derogatory, and it's not a good word. If somebody's using that, I feel like it's not, especially if we're trying to promote unity within our black community. Our blackness. You're kind of just using this term because you feel like you're better than this person just because they have a different background issue. It's really messed up. It's fucked up, honestly.
Well,
and I don't like it.
think it's maybe way our parents will probably use it, but I think we use it
For
in a
us.
different way. Like
Yeah,
we don't
we
really
use
use it to say.
I didn't
to
even
be
know it was
great.
that.
It's a derogatory
term.
term. I know it is. I've heard, but I think we're using it like just to say. For you to understand that we're talking about Black Americans, not we're not trying to say anything rude about you. It's just like it's just easier when I'm talking to an African person. Like if I want to say describing a Black and I can say American, but that could mean
White
right.
person.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
just like I got that person.
I got
Oh,
you.
okay, all right, cool. Like,
Kinda like
simple.
using the N-word.
Yeah, you just
Yeah.
keep it moving.
No,
It's
it's
right
like
there.
that.
What I'm saying when I say that is like when you say nigger versus nigga. Like,
Yeah.
that's disrespectful to put the ER, but when you say like my nigga,
I cut her.
okay, but it's in the same context.
Yeah, that's what.
Okay, same
So I wasn't
context.
when I say I got them music. I'm not
I
saying
ain't catching
African American,
Okay.
Like
trap,
hip-hop,
like hip hop, like that.
Okay,
Yeah.
I got you.
Like your
Okay.
futures.
So would y'all, my question for y'all, would you, like for a person who doesn't know someone in y'all home country, would you recommend them to go like not knowing anybody, or would you like,
Well, they
it's
would
better
know.
to go?
They would naturally
It's better.
It's better to go with someone.
Yeah.
Yeah, because then you experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, 'cause I feel like I wouldn't know what y'all
you
telling me
wouldn't know
unless I
exactly.
knew y'all.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
Yeah,
I
you
mean,
gotta
but
know.
I know, like, what, last year when Ghana did the whole year of return, there's a lot of Americans that went back
Yeah.
Okay.
without knowing anybody.
Okay.
Exactly.
And they literally loved it, and they're like, "Oh,
It
they're
sound
going
like the
again
place to be.
every."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Right.
But that's
Oh,
an
go
exception.
now.
That's an exception because that was like an actual event.
That's
They
what
had-
I
Okay,
said.
okay.
I was
They had
gonna
all
say
the events
Ghana.
laid out,
laid
so
out.
everybody
Right.
had
So
to
you didn't even
do
need to.
too much
Right.
to try to figure it out.
Right.
But to just go on a regular December, just go
Everybody
Afro
figure it
Nation
out.
or nothing
Yeah.
like that. It's best to go with someone that you
That
know
you
and kind
know.
of just show you
Okay.
because
Yeah.
Cool.
I mean you.
Yeah.
Just like going
it's
anywhere.
not like
Experience.
it's not like
Yeah.
Jamaica or you go on vacation
Okay,
and you
okay.
figure it
Yeah,
out.
okay.
No,
Gotcha,
you kind of
gotcha.
need to
Yeah.
know because there's a lot of corruption things.
Yeah.
You kind of need to know how
Know
to
your way
maneuver
out of
your way
navigate.
around.
Yeah.
Like even
That's
us,
anyway.
when we
Yeah.
go back, we still struggle with these people there
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
they look at it's like how I would say Akata. They would look at us. They would say, "Oh, those are the JC, like the
Yeah,
just
yeah.
come."
Yeah.
So we even have our own.
JC, okay.
You're not African enough, but you're also
Yeah.
You're African, but you're just coming here.
Yeah.
So you're not one of us.
African enough.
Yeah, so we
You're not
go
like-
through that
yeah.
too. Even
Yeah, but
within
they
our
know too, because I mean, because we have cold weather here, so your
Okay.
skin texture is a little bit different.
Okay,
And the
I
way
can see it.
the way you dress, just look at
too,
you
so
and they be like,
they know.
Yeah.
Because I remember, like, I went. My husband's from Ghana. I went to Ghana. We went to the shopping center, like grocery store.
Mhm.
Yo, when I tell you people were watching me like I was a statue, and I'm like, but why are they looking at me? And he was like, because they know
They're
you're
not
not from
from
here.
here.
They can
Okay.
tell. Like, they can tell that
Yeah,
you
they can
came from
tell.
overseas because your skin tone is a little bit
Okay.
different. Your texture,
Okay.
not necessarily skin tone, but your texture.
Okay.
And I'm like, okay, but can they just stop staring at me though?
yeah. You go to a market, they would literally come
They'll
up to
be in
you
your-
because
yeah.
they know you
Don't
came
touch
from
your
America,
back.
you have the
Yeah.
money.
Okay.
That's when we like, oh, sister.
Two more questions. The food. Could talk about the food.
Oh.
Cause I know,
What do you want to know about
I
that
know,
food,
go
yo?
wherever. Cause look,
I
cause I know
mean-
even, cause I know all it's so everything. Everybody's different, but I know what cultures is so different. It's the same when it comes to different countries. Like I said, working in Wheaton, when the Latinos, they'd be like, this ain't nothing compared
It's
to the
not.
food back
Yeah.
here.
It's
So
not.
it's
I
like,
mean, they're telling
so
the truth.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
So
yeah.
what do y'all feel like? What's what would you say is the best food? Like I know there was a kid
For your own
This
individual
kid-
country?
Yeah,
yeah. Or the go-to.
Yeah.
Or the go-to food. Because it was a kid, this is my guy. When I was teaching I wasn't teaching, I'm tripping. I was working at Wheaton High School, and this kid was from, where's Joel Embiid from?
Who?
Joel
No,
Embiid,
he's
he
probably
played for the
talking.
76ers.
Oh.
Do you want me to
Damn. You can look it up, but this kid is from there, and we used to always
Joel
he was a
Embiid?
pain in my ass, but
Oh,
that was my
I know what
guy.
you're talking about.
Yeah, I told you about it. He used to talk about water fufu all the time. He
Oh,
was
wait,
like,
never mind. I don't know.
he used to be talking about all these different type of foods, and he used to bring them to
Oh.
school. But he just was so wild, like he would just eat the food with his hands. Sometimes he'll bring,
That's how
but
you're
he'll
supposed to eat it.
but he'll bring a spoon from home. Sometimes he'll eat it cold. Sometimes he's
Are you
just
from
as wild.
Cameroon?
Cameroon,
Oh,
yeah, that's where he's from.
okay.
So he'd just talk about a whole bunch of different stuff, but he just would talk about like a lot of them would hang together. They just we'd talk like I'm talking to y'all about the
Yeah.
culture and shit like that. So what's the food, the number one food that you would recommend to someone if they come to you?
In your country.
I would recommend Banachin, aka Chebujin, aka Jollof Rice.
Okay.
Because for
They
those
talk
that
about
don't-
that a lot too. Joe
Yeah,
Rogan.
I feel like it's safe in a sense. It's like a one pot
It's
dish.
rice.
Yeah, it's and I would recommend that personally because that is like I feel like a lot of non-Africans are very familiar with jollof rice, but
compared
they
to like a jambalaya.
Yeah,
You
jambalaya.
throw everything aside.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
but they don't know where it originates from, and
Yeah.
that's where I come in.
Oh,
Explain.
girl.
Oh,
We're
that
about to
works.
start
What's
this
this
today.
in now?
It is Senegal,
Thank you. Get it together.
Senegal and Gambia is one, okay?
Oh, my God.
Gotcha.
So yeah, that is what I would recommend. Again, it's a safe choice.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true. I think in general that's like a staple within
Yeah,
West African countries. I wouldn't say West African because I'm not gonna talk about the others.
Other parties.
But I think with Liberia, with jollof rice, then you have like cassava leaf. So I think that's the one we also introduce most Americans to, or
It's like a
other cultures
spinach.
too. It's like leaf
Yeah.
and you eat it with rice.
Right.
So it's like safe
Okay.
Yeah.
in a sense.
It's safe to us.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
So yeah, Sierra Leone and Liberia are actually kind of similar.
Yeah.
So Sierra Leone are really well known for cassava for
Yeah.
strong. I mean,
Mhm.
ours is better. It's not dry.
Girl bad.
So even
But she be eating my
tasty.
cassava.
I eat your palava sauce.
But yes, you do. Bye.
But yeah, we're really known. But then we also have two other soups, crane and potato leaves. So
Yeah.
those
We do the same too.
anything
Okay.
green,
Because we're on the
anything
we're
green
close
is
to each other.
under the category of placas.
Okay.
So yeah, so we're really known for like
Okay.
The greens.
Yeah, the greens.
Grandma, what dish are you?
Nigerian.
Please
Oh,
just say
bye. Bye.
Please just give us suya, girl.
We'll take the suya. We don't want that.
We're Nigerian working with it. What they got?
So,
What
I
they
mean,
got?
first of all, everybody.
What you
What did everybody know?
Let me break it down.
Everybody knows what.
Everybody knows that Nigeria has the best love.
Okay.
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 But okay, that's not really what we're here to discuss.
Before you go, what makes the rice different from different countries? Like,
I think it's like different method of making
Okay.
it.
And the type of rice they use.
Yeah, that
Okay.
too.
But ultimately, it boils down to the cook. Because
it
boils down to the
does.
cook.
Like Nigerians make their jollof for mainly like
Tomatoes.
tomato paste and parboiled rice.
okay.
Habanero
Sierra
peppers.
Leone's,
Yeah.
Sierra Leone's we use
Not that one that had it. Not that one that had it. That
genuine
wedding.
rice. It's parboiled
Not
rice.
that one that had it. That
It boils
wedding.
down to the cook. Because Liberian jollof looks like fried rice.
Damn.
Am I lying?
Everything in it.
I'm saying it's like
It has
fried
like
rice.
meat,
Okay.
everything in it.
It's white.
It's not white. No, it's not white.
I ain't never.
Liberian
I went to
jollof is
Liberian
like
household. They told me that was jollof
Like
rice.
I said, that person lying. They're not from Liberia. They lying.
That's when you die hard. Ours is much more simple.
With one
Honestly, this is not even a fair conversation. Again, jollof rice originates from Gambia.
Alright. We got one. I want to hear yours. I want to hear your story. Let me hear. Let me hear
Well,
what you
because
got.
they already said jollof, and we're not gonna go ahead and put Nigeria in that same category.
Yes,
Like,
no.
no, because we already know it's like, why state that the sky is blue when it's blue? Be
That's a fact.
It's like you can't everybody not just anywhere.
Okay, I see now.
But like Miriam said, I would say that suya is a really good.
Okay.
I feel like you can
No.
eat suya. Yeah, you can eat suya with a lot of different. You can eat it by itself. You can eat it with your jollof, your Nigerian jollof.
It's like grilled.
It's
We have to
grilled meat.
explain
It's like kebab. It's
Yeah.
kebab.
Okay.
The skewered meat, they cut the meat really
Thin
thin
slice.
slices, and they put it in in sticks, and they season it, they grill it. It's
Okay.
very delicious.
It's very
Okay.
You need to try it. If you go to Nigeria, that's one thing you need to
I'm
try.
going.
Yeah, you can also
I'm
eat it
going
with
all
with gari as well, right?
Really?
I see people.
Yeah, we
put
call it
gari
Korea.
in it.
We call it Korea.
Yeah, because you can eat it with a lot of things. Like you can eat it,
It's just
again, this meat, and
Yeah.
or else you have
It's
to
really
make it.
tasty.
I like
Yeah.
it.
You know.
And it's
If you
usually.
see
Do you like spicy
bomb,
food?
I do now. I did
Yeah.
before.
It's
but-
Oh
bomb.
my God, pounded jam.
Yeah.
Oh god, you see
Just
that?
say name one. No,
Exactly.
what is all
You
this?
know, you hit. Oh, now it's hit. You know
Look,
what's up.
now it's
You know what's up.
It's
Okay.
too much.
I gotta
It's
try
a name,
it.
but I'm gonna say suya.
Okay.
There's a spot here in Baltimore, the Steel Spot. I heard.
But theirs is not that.
That's
Oh,
funny.
Everyone knows about
Everybody
it.
knows
Jay-Z
it.
said it, right?
Yeah.
So-
It's good.
Do
Yeah.
y'all feel like y'all can get a good version of the stuff y'all talking about here?
I'm making myself.
Okay.
Yeah.
I need to try.
It's
I need to
it's
try.
No,
good,
but
but
I
it's
think
always
it's
better
better
back home.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
just-
always.
It's fresh.
Always.
Yeah, it's natural.
The honest process.
Honestly, I believe that processing food terrible. But the thing is, like, when I went back to Nigeria a few times, I feel like, sometimes when you go to certain restaurants, I'm like, this is not how I remember this tasting. It's not as delicious as
really?
It's not as authentic.
Here.
You gotta go to like the
Like the hood. It's like better food than hood.
Anytime I go anywhere, I'm like, I travel for food, okay?
Okay.
So I try not to
like
be
that
biased
too.
or anything. And I went to certain places in Lagos and Nigeria, other parts of Nigeria, and I'm like, I'm not impressed.
That's true.
I'm not
You were
impressed at all.
Okay.
And I'm like, I've had food here in America from certain restaurants that I'm like, I was much more impressed by. I've had food amongst my siblings and my family that I cooked that I like better.
Yeah, that's
and
true.
I feel like they trying to like Americanize.
I was just gonna say that. I was gonna say
So
that.
he's switching up a little
Yeah,
bit.
I haven't had that experience, but I feel like when I went back to Ghana and Liberia, I think the food was better.
Okay.
It was fresher, especially like when you're doing like goat meat or whatever. You're not going to the grocery store and getting it all out the
They
freezer.
smoke it.
Yeah.
So like you're going to the farm,
You're getting
you
it
kill
fresh.
the goat
Yeah.
right there,
Okay.
they skin it, and then you cook it. So you're getting that.
That
He's
real-
like, oh shit.
That
So
real-
you get here too. Like my family, like I said, I do come from a big family, but we go to farm here and we pick out a
Oh,
goat
yeah.
or a
Yeah,
cow.
yeah.
And we
Yeah,
get
yeah.
farm, we
Yeah,
have
big
meat for
families
like
do
maybe
that.
months,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and we get fresh meat. So
That's
it's like,
always the best.
And then they're always cooking every day, so you're
That's
getting
what I
that
was gonna
fresh.
say.
I think
We cook
because
every day.
we get the meat and then we put it in the freezer,
freezer for
so it
months.
loses that like authentic
Freshness.
Yeah, freshness. But over there, because they cook every day, so you're getting fresh food.
Yeah.
You're getting fresh
Mhm.
eggs.
Fresh
They're going to the
fresh bread
fresh.
Okay.
Oh,
every morning.
let me tell you
Oh,
the
yeah,
fresh
fresh
Y'all got me
Like,
hyped
let
now,
me
huh?
tell honestly, because when I went to Ghana, like the bread at the grocery store, like
I
I'm not a
get it.
bread person,
Yeah.
but
I
just
get
the
it, bread.
smell.
I get
It's
it.
literally fresh
Like,
baked
it's fresh.
every morning.
Yeah, everything
morning
is
you
fresh
get it in the
every day.
morning,
Fresh.
you send whoever, they get it for you. It's
I'd be a fat boy over there.
You will.
Yeah.
It is so
Easily.
It's harder to get fat, it seems, over there because the
You're
food doesn't
moving.
have as, but not just that. Yeah, you're moving. You're much more
That's
active.
Okay.
But it's like the food here has been processed so much. It's like your
Yeah.
body doesn't even know what to do. So it's like,
Okay.
what is this?
Okay.
But over there, you're really using
It's
a lot of
fresh.
authentic.
yeah, even the
ingredients.
milk tastes different.
Oh,
Everything
yeah.
tastes different.
No.
Yeah.
My number one
Ketchup.
thing,
She
ketchup.
loves her
I
ketchup.
love the ketchup.
Real ketchup.
Yeah,
It's so it has the sweetness taste. I like
Because they're actually using
So
tomatoes.
good.
Okay.
Right.
Damn, y'all got me rethinking my whole life right
No,
now.
honestly.
You can go visit at least
I'm
once.
going
Do
good.
a little tour.
Okay.
Yeah, do a little.
Where do you want to go
Get all
first?
your
It
shots.
don't matter. Y'all tell me
You
where
know
I
what?
need to
I
go.
mean, I'm just saying, you
Y'all
should get all
need-
his shots.
Yeah.
And then do
Well,
it.
everybody's gonna say go to their country,
Country.
so
Yeah, try do a tour.
Well,
do a tour.
yeah.
I would say start with
Nigeria,
somewhere other
Ghana.
than South Africa.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
South
because I feel like
Africa
that's
is
where
I mean, that's the
Everybody
too
go.
commercialized.
No, not everybody. I feel like that's
Yeah.
where American go.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
when
when
they
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 say
talk
commercialize
about that a
that
lot.
part of
Yeah,
Africa.
they talk
When
about
they
that
say
a
they're going to Africa, it's literally South Africa.
South
Yeah.
Africa.
And it's
the
like,
western part.
yeah, but South Africa, I'm not taking anything away from them. But in the sense of like, I feel like they go there because they feel like it's westernized.
Yeah,
commercialized, yeah.
It's more westernized. It's
Commercialized
more like
Africa.
the thing.
Right.
And then when somebody meet me, be like, oh, I went to Africa. I'm like, oh, what part? South Africa? I'm like, oh.
South Africans don't even like black people. So
It's white people in South Africa.
yeah, like they're still dealing with
The apartheid.
Apartheid.
And they
Okay.
still do it in schools today.
Yeah,
Oh,
so
shit.
it's like, whereas if you were to come to any one of our countries, believe it or not, you would be embraced.
You would be
Okay.
embraced.
Like you,
yes.
yeah, you would be
Okay.
embraced, and I think that is like that's
And your
the
color
nice.
wouldn't be a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Doesn't he look Igbo?
Yeah, you can
Yeah.
pass with Igbo.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, you're not.
Emeka,
Call
that's
me
your
Evo
Igbo
Mook.
name.
Evo Mook. My new name. Okay, all right with that. All right with that. So we gotta wrap up because y'all know
Oh,
y'all
shit.
time on y'all
Oh,
time.
oh,
Look,
It's always the Niger people.
Ah!
Just saying, I'm
no,
just
but
saying.
listen. I got a lot more questions. I'm sorry. I got a lot more questions from this conversation. So if y'all would be, I would love for y'all to do a part
Part
two.
two.
I'll bring more than one of these.
Yes!
Look, but no, did I not say? Listen,
like to
before
drink.
y'all say look,
Exactly.
I said I would go get them. She was like, no, they already, they came late. They got.
Ah,
Does that even sound
Wow.
I ain't
nice?
gonna tell you one of the two. I'm sorry. But no, next time I'll be well prepared. But I would like to
I mean,
do
we
a part
can
two
still
for
get
real.
another one. I right?
Yeah, we can for sure.
No, it's part 2 will be fun. Yeah, it'll be fun.
Yeah, let's do it. But in closing, I learned a lot, and I hope the listeners learned a lot. And if they got any questions, send them to me so we can ask them the next one. But I definitely got better understanding. I didn't get to ask personally. I wanted to ask that question what I said.
I know, right?
But we'll get to that. But I definitely understand more why you would want to. So
Yeah.
I'm definitely gonna go on my tour as well.
Yeah.
So thank y'all for showing up.
Oh,
and I
thank
appreciate
you for
it.
having us.
No, I
Thank
appreciate
you.
it 100%.
Yeah, this was
fun.
fun. This was very fun.
Yeah.
Until next time, we
Very
need
different.
answers. We closing out.
All right.
Before y'all get up, I always do a